I'm the only person that designs exhibits at the zoo right now. I am the sole exhibit designer. He's our male orangutan. He was born in 1993, so I guess that makes him 14 now. His grandmother, Inji. And if there's anything happening at the window, she's usually the first to come over. You can see she's enraptured with what's happening. She's the one that's the most curious. She's lived at the zoo longer than any other animal here. So this is their only exhibit space right now. It's only an indoor exhibit. It's a pretty large volume, but if you look around, there is not a whole lot filling the volume. And that's one of the primary problems with this exhibit. And the problem we tried to solve, the outdoor exhibit, in addition to being 3.5 times this size, they have access to every inch of the enclosure. It really starts over at the drafting table. I'm still a little old school in that everything starts out with sketches. I sort of craft a narrative, so they're almost storyboards for me. I mean, every exhibit, I write 2 or 3 pages that's kind of a verbal fly-through or a narrative like through the exhibit and what the experience is about. And then we craft a lot of scale models so we can see it in 3 dimensions. Because we can work all of the kinks and the details hopefully out here, there has, since 1959, been a ramp for visitors to access sort of the lower circulation path and the lower viewing area of the building. And that ramp has to remain, even though we're now expanding this exhibit to encompass more area. And so there was just a very practical problem. I still need to get people into this building, but there's now a large orangutan and gibbon exhibit going through it. But then it becomes a great opportunity. We can enclose that in a tunnel. We can make that tunnel look like a giant fallen log. We can have windows where the log has rotted out or a branch is broken off, so that as people are going through that tunnel, they have an opportunity to watch orangutans and gibbons like crawling over their heads or swinging overhead or through little portholes on the side. So it's an opportunity for them to sort of, be inside the exhibit with the animals. By creating an enrichment tree, which is why we call it like that, an enrichment tree, because it's intended to enrich the lives of the animals. It's accessible by keepers through a tunnel under the exhibit. So keepers can go up throughout the day up into this spiral staircase, and then there's all these apertures around the tree where they can put puzzles and food and treats and all sorts of different things through there throughout the day for the orangutans. In the wild jungles of Southeast Asia where orangutans live, you would be able to find, huge diameter vines like this, but we wouldn't be able to grow something of this diameter or something like this stout in Oregon. So part of it is also kind of creating those set pieces, sort of recreating this Southeast Asian habitat in Portland, Oregon. Every inch of the exhibit has to be inspected, but it's all part of the construction details in the drawings. Every bolt, it's not good enough that a bolt is bolted down. We have to weld it. Otherwise, he'll just, even if it's a machine tightened bolt, he'll be able to unscrew it. So we'll have to weld that. Before the animals are let out into the outdoor exhibit, we actually go over with a metal detector to make sure that there's no errant screws or pieces of wire or something buried in the dirt that they might be able to dig up and use. One of the big challenges is making everything, what we call it's just the catchphrase, orang-proof. The glass has to be orang-proof, the caging, the mesh. Everything's got to be able to withstand not only the sort of methodical intelligence of the animals, but then their strength, the sheer strength of them. The center column of this structure is essentially that center column of the tree that the spiral staircase then wraps around and then gets encased in concrete to become a tree. So up here on the roof, it kind of gives us a good perspective of the whole scope of the project. You can see the black mesh structure. That's one of the gray cages, 2 of the gray cages, so it's these 2 cages combined into one, spanning across to the cage on the other side. An emerging sort of philosophy in zoos and with zoo design is to not not just create this menagerie, this collection of animals in boxes. We're not just talking about saving an animal. I mean, in order to save a specific animal, you really have to save the environment that they live in. And part of telling that message is really evoking that environment here. It's not only beneficial to the animals because they're living in a more naturalistic environment. They get to encounter, furniture that they would in the wild. I mean, it may be artificial furniture like these vines or what have you, but it's really challenging them to use natural behaviors, to climb as they would in the wild. It's not a rigid pole, it's something that has flex to it, it's something that moves. It's challenging, their mental abilities and their physical abilities. And at the same time, it's really creating this set piece, this narrative for the visitors to encounter. It's less standing there and looking at a specimen as much as it is now an experience. I think a lot of it is tapping into the emotions, making it something that people are going to feel, to remember as an experience, because I think you remember what you feel long after you've forgotten what you've read or what you've heard.